long before the sound of engines, radios, and electric lights reached the deep heart of Ogbunaike, there lay a quiet village called Ogbunaike. It rested gently between 7 ancient green hills, their peaks often wrapped in morning mist. To strangers, the hills looked like ordinary landforms. To the people of Ogbunaike, they were guardians, living witnesses that had watched generations rise and fall. The elders said the hills were older than time itself. They believed the hills remembered every promise made on the land, every lie spoken, and every act of kindness shown. The hills, they said, spoke only to those whose hearts were clean and whose ears were patient. At the center of Ogbunaike stood a mighty Ogbunaike tree, wide and tall, its branches spreading like protective arms over the village square. Its roots pushed deep into the red earth, twisting and turning like the stories of the ancestors. Beneath this tree, the life of the village unfolded. It was under the Ogbunaike tree that disputes were settled. When two neighbors quarreled over land or livestock, they came there. When a child was born, elders gathered there to pray and give names. When harvests were plenty, the people danced there. When someone died, memories were spoken there. It was believed that no one could tell lies beneath the Ogbunaike tree, because the tree itself could feel dishonesty and bring shame upon the liar. Life in Ogbunaike followed the steady rhythm of the land. At dawn, the village woke gently. Roosters crowed loudly as if competing with one another. Women stepped out of their mud houses to sweep their compounds with long local brooms, singing softly as they worked. Men sharpened their cutlasses and lifted hoes onto their shoulders before walking toward their farms. Children fetched water from the village well, their laughter echoing along the red earth paths as their bare feet touched the cool ground. By midday, the sun warmed the land. Farmers rested under trees. Palm wine tappers climbed tall palms with practiced ease. Smoke rose from cooking fires as soup simmered slowly. By evening, the sky turned orange and purple. The smell of food filled the air, and families gathered to eat together. At night, Ogbunaike became a village of stories. Fires crackled softly. Elders sat on wooden stools, their voices deep and steady as they spoke of courage, respect, and the bond between humans and nature. Children listened with wide eyes, leaning forward so they would not miss a word. Among those children was a boy named Ogbunaike. Ogbunaike was not the strongest boy in the village. He was not the fastest runner or the loudest talker. But he noticed things others ignored. While other children chased one another, Ogbunaike paused to listen, to the wind moving through leaves, to footsteps echoing on the hills, to the quiet sounds of the earth breathing. Some children laughed at him and called him strange. But his grandmother, Ogbunaike, always smiled and said, "The child who listens will hear what others miss." Ogbunaike loved sitting close to the elders at night. He listened carefully as they spoke about the hills, how they protected the village during ancient wars, how they warned ancestors of danger, and how they rewarded honesty. Ogbunaike believed every story. Sometimes, when the wind passed through the rocky hills, Ogbunaike felt as though the hills were alive, breathing, watching, waiting. Then came the dry season that changed everything. At first, no one worried. Dry seasons were normal. But soon, the village well began to shrink. Each morning, the water level dropped lower than the day before. Women began to wait longer to fill their pots. Children leaned dangerously into the well to reach the water. Crops started to wilt. Yam leaves curled. Cassava stems bent weakly. Goats wandered restlessly, bleating softly as if confused. Mothers whispered anxiously at night, careful not to frighten their children. The elders met beneath the Ogbunaike tree. They broke kola nuts, poured libation, and spoke prayers to the ancestors. Still, the sky remained empty. No rain came. Fear spread quietly through the village, like smoke that seeps into every room. One night, as Ogbunaike lay awake on his mat, unable to sleep, he heard a sound. It was low and steady, not like the wind. It came from the hills. Ogbunaike, his heart raced, but fear did not take him. Slowly, he wrapped his cloth around his shoulders and stepped outside. The moonlight lit his path. The hills glowed softly, as if alive. "The land is hurting," the hills whispered. A promise was broken. At dawn, guided by a feeling he could not explain, Ogbunaike walked toward the sacred forest, a place no one was allowed to touch. His feet trembled as he moved deeper inside. There, hidden behind bushes, he saw the truth: tree stumps, freshly cut. The forest that once guided rainwater into the well had been destroyed. Tears filled Ogbunaike's eyes. Trembling, he returned to the village and stood before the elders beneath the Udala tree. His voice shook, but he spoke the truth. Silence followed. Then, slowly, a few men stepped forward. Shame hung heavily on their faces. Greed had blinded them. The elders spoke firmly. The forest must be restored. Trees must be replanted. Apologies must be made, to the people, to the land, and to the ancestors. Days later, clouds gathered. Rain fell gently. The earth drank deeply. The well filled. Crops turned green again. The hills fell silent, not in anger, but in peace. From that day, the people of Ogbunaike taught their children, when you respect the land protects you, and truth, no matter how small, can save many.